Unite Lehigh is a nonprofit. I'm Derek Felder, by the way, president of Unite Lehigh. Unite Lehigh is a nonprofit. It was formed in July of 2022. Its formal purpose is to unite the citizens to become an incorporated city and bring about a higher quality of living. Unite Lehigh, the group, meets monthly on the second Monday at 7 p.m. behind the sheriff's station off Plaza Drive. Currently, we are working towards fundraising to have a feasibility study done to see if Lehigh Acres is possible to incorporate to become a city, town, or village. So I say that because similar to what was said earlier, the issue is whether or not we have the tax base to become incorporated. Unite Lehigh is not for incorporation if it is not possible. Our goal is for a feasibility study. That's what we want. We want to, this argument has been going around for many years, decades, way long before I moved here. I'm not bringing this issue forward. I'm just the one currently working towards a goal of a feasibility study. If it's not possible, then at least we have an end of the argument and know it's not possible. But right now, it's just all hearsay and rumors whether we have the tax base or not. So with that, I got involved with Unite Lehigh about 2 years ago. Since I am not the one that organized and started Unite Lehigh, there are others in the community that had to step back from the leadership role of Unite Lehigh, and I was able to step into that leadership role to help move this topic forward. My wife and I moved to Lehigh Acres about 3 years ago in April of 2021. And since moving here, many would say that I have become one of the most active members of the community with all the meetings and groups that I am attend and involved with. This is a short list of some of those groups that I am either a member of or attend regularly. The Lehigh Acres Community Council, the Lehigh Acres Architectural Planning Zoning Board, Street Lighting Committee, East Lee Wildlife Stewardship Group, the Lee County Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee, Lee County Metropolitan Planning Organization, also HOA member at my Town Lakes HOA, and a member of the Alva Inc. group, which is north of us also. So what is Lee County currently doing for us? Road repaving projects, $5 million per every year put towards repaving roads. Williams Park was just expanded for $17 million. Lee Trade is installing a park and ride for $6 million. Able Canal Pathway will be begun construction soon for $11 million. The illegal extension to connect at State Road 80 and Sunshine Boulevard is coming through for, I forget the number, over $100 million. There's work toward extending Sunshine Boulevard north to State Road 80. It's a roundabout coming at Gunnery and Buckingham, and other intersection improvements throughout the Lehigh Acres area, including something coming at Lee Boulevard and Joan Avenue. School district. School district has 8 potential schools coming to the East Zone over the next 10 years. On the slide here, you can see their 10-year capital plan that they have currently. Oops, sorry. 3 schools coming to Sunshine and State Road 82. There's a school on the north side out by Savannah Lakes. There's the Innovation School, K-8, coming on Tree Line. There's another elementary, no location yet, and another high school and middle school coming to potentially Joel and Tucker. What is Lamstead doing? Lamstead is the Lehigh Acres Municipal Services Improvement District. They've recently completed phase 2 of the Crest project on Wheeler Road. Frank Mann Preserve is in design phase. Robust property has been purchased and is a water project, quality project for Bedman Creek area. The Bottomless Lake was recently purchased along Joel Boulevard, and they're working towards clearing that for exotics to become a future park. Also talk of purchasing the building next to that to become a Lehigh museum potentially. Lamps is also working on clearing the exotics from Frank Mann Preserve, and that is in the design phase currently to become a water quality and storage facility and park for the public to use also. The fire department, the new station at 107 along Leonard Boulevard across from New Life Church. is recently nearly completed, I believe. There's a future training center and tower with potential next fire station located next to the Williams Park expansion at the end of Village Lakes Boulevard. I'm not going to go through this in detail, but FGUA operates currently 2 water treatment plants. One is a operating water treatment plant. The second one is just a booster station and water storage facility currently. The second one is under design to be a reverse osmosis treatment plant where they pull water deep from deep wells and then inject the waste from that back into there. They're also working on a interconnect with Gateway to add an additional 0.5 million gallons per day. And they also operate a wastewater treatment plant that is also currently in design to be expanded by 1 million gallons per day. This slideshow will also be available on YouTube and anything like that if anyone wants to go back and look at these numbers at a later date. Some current developments that are going on in Lee County. So in this picture only, there's 7,905 units of housing developments being proposed. That's not including all the other pre-plotted Lehigh vacant lots that are also being developed. There's 1.8 million square feet of commercial that is coming in development to Lehigh Acres. 435,000 square feet of industrial, and I know we all love it, 533,000 square feet of storage space. So why do I say all that? Let's talk a little bit about incorporation and what that can mean. If incorporated, Lehigh Acres as a city, town, or village would have a seat at the table for the Lee County Metropolitan Planning Organization. The Lee MPO is responsible for future transportation project priorities. With our current or future population, it is likely that Lehigh Acres would have 4 to 5 seats on this board, similar to Fort Myers or Cape Coral. Currently, we are only represented by our, I'll say 5 at-large commissioners. If incorporated, the county would still maintain control of all the arterial roads. Lehigh Acres would assume control of all the other roads. So this would need to be worked into the feasibility study is how Lehigh Acres would pay for all of those roads. Outside of the ones in red and blue, the blue is the state roads. Red would maintain their county status likely, as they are the main arterial corridor roads. Lehigh Acres sidewalks. This shows the potential ultimate build-out of all the sidewalks for Lehigh Acres using arterial and collector roads. Green is existing, currently built sidewalks. Red is currently on the Lee County Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee list, and all others are future potential projects along those main corridor roads. Recently, I was appointed to the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee by Commissioner Kevin Rowan. Since beginning advocating for Lehigh Acres sidewalks, I've already been able to get 3 projects added to the county list. The problem is that they may not get done for 20 years or more under the current allocation process by the county. This is the current county list. It's 144, currently 142 projects long. Red is the central zone. The county is broken into 4 different zones. There are 98 projects in the central zone. 44 of those are for Lehigh Acres. That's 45% of the central zone projects are for Lehigh Acres, and 31% of the overall projects on this list are for Lehigh Acres. These numbers will only increase as I continue to bring more projects forward for Lehigh Acres to the advisory committee. If incorporated, the goal would be that the city, town, or village Lehigh Acres would begin funding these projects, hopefully be able to take over the sidewalk projects and complete them at a higher rate than the county is currently for us. Again, this would all need to be factored into a feasibility study that is needed. Lehigh zoning. This is a picture of what many of us know Lehigh Acres to be. Everyone says we want to stay rural. While this may be the current situation in much of Lehigh Acres, this is not the future. Future, as we can already see, is happening around us. Every lot will eventually be cleared, almost all the trees, and there will be a house built on every lot. Wildlife will be pushed out. Every lot will have a home built on it. This leads us into the current Lehigh Acres zoning and future land use. This is the future land use map for Lehigh Acres under the current county administration. The central urban main corridors along Lee Boulevard, Joel Boulevard, Leland are all central urban. They allow for 5 to 10 units per acre, up to 15 units per acre. All the rest of Lehigh Acres, majority of Lehigh Acres, is zoned urban, 0.5 to 6 units per acre, up to a maximum of 10 units per acre. After hearing these numbers, I hope many of you realize that the future of Lehigh Acres under the current county administration is not a rural community. It is potentially a city, town, or village, and maybe we could try to change this zoning or preserve more of the land for pocket parks and things of that nature if we were to have our own ability as a city, town, or village. With our zoning being urban, everyone believes that sewer and water will be expanded everywhere in Lehigh Acres. If we were to become incorporated, that is unlikely. The blue highlighted areas are the existing water main lines. Future development will likely push expansion of these lines along commercial corridors or where large residential developments are being planned and constructed. Likely areas that will get future sewer and water expanded are along Gunnery, State Road 82, potentially Sunshine Boulevard, and 12th Street. Bell Boulevard, we also recently had a water main added, but not sewer. Also, the potential school at Joel and Tuckahoe could advance sewer and water up to that site along Bell Boulevard also. Areas that are part of the original 1960s development are being looked at for converting from their existing septic tanks to potentially conversion to sewer. These 4 areas located along Lee Boulevard, Leland Boulevard, and Joel Boulevard. This conversion is likely to happen currently under the current county administration, having nothing to do with the incorporation of Lehigh Acres into a city, town, or village. Here's a list of the top 10 code violations in Lehigh Acres. Code enforcement does actively patrol in Lehigh, but only between the hours of 8 and 4, Monday through Friday. Many of Lehigh Acres issues occur outside of these times. I will say the county is looking into additional ways or additional fines to discourage the repeat offenders. I'm sure you can all think of situations in your own life where the lack of code enforcement has affected you in some way. A plus to proper code enforcement is to ensure our health, safety, and house property values. In the past 20 years, the Lehigh Acres population has essentially quadrupled from 30,000 to over 130,000. Over the next 20 to 25 years, it is estimated that our population could grow by another 100,000 people. The growth story revolves around Lehigh Acres and Cape Coral. Around 204,000 of the forecasted 355,000 new residents will live at these 2 areas by 2050. With incorporation, if the feasibility study were to come back and incorporation were to be looked at and pursued and begin writing a city charter, there's a few different options for how a city, town, or village structure could be accomplished. The first one I'm going to talk about is if Lamson were to remain independent. This would allow Lamson to keep their existing tax base and also keep their existing board. With this option, the new city would have to find its own city buildings and staff. With the second option, with Lamson as a dependent district, Lamson would again still keep their own separate tax base, but in this case, the new city could potentially use the Lamson buildings and staff for the city operations. With the option, though, the potential city, town, or village board would be the same board that oversees Lamson. This is similar to how the county commissioners are also the same board that oversee the Port Authority. Third option is Lamson would be dissolved and become the potential public works department of the new city, town, or village. In this scenario, the Lamson tax line would be rolled into a new city, town, or village tax line. If Lamson were to be dissolved, this leads us into the talk of potential borders. There are multiple different options to use for potential borders when looking at feasibility study and incorporation of Lehigh Acres into a city, town, or village. There are 3 established borders currently. The current county established border, the Lehigh Acres Fire Department border, and the Lamson District border. We could use any one of these 3 when discussing and for a feasibility study or writing a city charter. Another option is to essentially take all 3 of these maps and overlay them on top of each other, and that could become a potential border. By doing that, this would allow easier rolling for the Lamson would keep their area. It would involve using an area of Hendry County, as they currently have area in Hendry County that is within Lamson's border. So the future potential city could involve multiple counties. There has been talk within the state legislature regarding fire consolidations. So in my conversations with the fire department, the chief has stated, they don't necessarily want to be part of the city initially, but if the state legislature were to bring forward more talks of fire consolidations, then by using the fire department district border, it would easily allow them to be rolled into a potential city at that point in time. By doing this and using all 3 maps on top of each other, it would make us larger than Cape Coral and have multiple counties within one city. This map I just wanted to bring forward. This is the existing county map shown here in brown. I just want to point out a few of the areas. On the bottom, circled in blue, have addresses, postal addresses of Fort Myers. They are still designated by the county as part of Lehigh Acres. Similarly, the northeast corner of Lehigh Acres has postal addresses of Elba. This can be confusing for someone that would be purchasing a home in this area. They may not realize that they're actually within the county designated area of Lehigh Acres. On the flip side, the area near Colonial and State Road 82 is part of the city of Fort Myers, but has addresses of Lehigh Acres. Many of the older homes within Lehigh Acres are located within this area along Leland and Joel. A possible special revitalization lower taxing district could potentially be created, allowing this area a tax break and incentivizing them to be able to make upgrades to their homes. Also, many of the older population may live within this original 1960s development area, and this would provide them a tax break as to not displace these members of the community. This is just a potential map of council districts. If this is the border for the city, town, or village that would be used. Here's a potential Lehigh Acres County tax bill. The original total tax bill currently is $3,500. If Lehigh Acres were to become a city, town, or village, there are two main lines that will be removed: the unincorporated MSTU and the Lehigh Acres Light MSTU. The Lehigh Acres Light would be rolled into the future city tax. There are other lines on here, like for instance, the Lampstead line, under I gave the three scenarios earlier. If they would be dissolved, that line would also be removed. But in the other two options, that line would stay. There's a few other things on here that could be removed. Other cities around the county have kept them. For instance, the solid waste assessment, that could be removed and it could be done by the city. Many of them are going back to the county, I understand, so I left that on here. So if incorporated, $354 of the $3,500 would be moved from the tax bill. The question is, how much is going to be added back in to pay for the city? That is where we need the feasibility study to tell us that. Feasibility study costs around $55,000. It's going to tell us what our revenues are. These revenues come from multiple avenues: property taxes, state funds, gas tax, and state and federal grants. The study needs to tell us, what is the cost to run the city, and in the end, what will the proposed city tax to the homeowners be? If we can get the funding together and begin the feasibility study, I think at the latest you need to begin it by January 2025. We need to write the city charter kind of coinciding with the feasibility study. When we need to make decisions to create the feasibility study, we need to make the decisions on how, what's the potential border going to be, what's the city structure going to be. We need to know those things, make those hypothetical choices in order to have the feasibility study done. And at that time, we can also co-write the city charter at the same time. If the feasibility study were to come back positive, and we wanted to move forward with this, we could potentially make it for the November 2026 election. To do that, a feasibility study, the charter, a petition of the voters would all need to be submitted to the state legislature no later than September 2025. Those decisions that I spoke of the structures, the borders, all of that those decisions are not easy decisions. I will not be necessarily making those decisions. There'll be conversations that we have with county commissioners, Matt Caldwell, state legislatures, the other organizations that it affects, the fire department, the Lampstead, and we'll also be forming some kind of committee within the community so we can get a group of the committee of the public to be able to have their input on what they think is a possible avenue to go also. With that, I invite all of you to attend community council meetings. Community council meets monthly on the first Monday of every month at 7 p.m. Also behind the sheriff station, same as where Unite Lehigh meets. This is some of their information to get a hold of them. The QR code will link you to their Facebook page. I have also created a Meetup app, and if you go to this website or follow this QR code, it will bring you to the Meetup group that I have created for the Lee County Civic Engagement Group, where I'm trying to put every public meeting, whether it be Lehigh Fire Department, Lampstead, county meetings, the Lee County Metropolitan Group meetings, any public meeting that may affect Lehigh or the surrounding communities, I'm trying to include in this app so that to help inform the community of these public meetings to get more community engagement at the meetings. Like I said, I've been going to meetings for the past 2 years, and there's not a lot of public involvement at all. Lots of people have opinions, but not many people come to meetings. So with that, we're going to open it up to questions.